Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you for being here. So we have a live from our dear Mariam. This has actually now been deleted. It was her Iftar live. She had some bits and pieces in it we could have discussed, but it was going on a bit and I wasn't really ready to cut it down and sit through it all again. And then barbecue chicken, God bless her little giblets, has come out with an 11-minute version that I am okay with covering. Now, speaking of deleting, Foodie has been quite active with the delete button just recently. She had a few community posts, which barbecue chicken does go over at the end of this. We may or may not cover them, but basically, actually we won't cover them, but I'll tell you now. Just her going off at reactors. There was one off of FFG, and then one from a reactor I wasn't familiar with, but basically saying, you look like this and you're criticizing me, sit down. But she swiftly deleted them because she feels guilty for going so low. It doesn't really stop her when she's on live from saying any of this stuff, and she doesn't appear to feel guilty. I think she just realized how dumb it makes her look. And one of the reasons she rants so much is because she hates that feeling of knowing she's made herself look dumb, and she doesn't learn from it. So she just starts raging because she's angry at herself as much as anyone else. Now, as well as this live being deleted and connected to one of the talking points in this live, her previous live that, did I cover? I feel like I did cover. I think I recapped it, didn't I? But from the day before, has also disappeared. And we will talk about that in a minute when we get to that point. So I'm just going to start up the screen grab, and as you can see, if you give me a moment, man, does she look annoyed at the world. She has tried to present herself. She's put on some makeup, which is a little bit of an odd choice during Ramadan, not because people can't do it, people still do, they tend to do less, but because when you're praying, the water has to cleanse all of your skin, so makeup doesn't really work with that, because you've got to wash 5 times a day. Now, this doesn't seem to be bothering Foodie. I'm sure she would argue, well, I was only wearing it for the camera and then I took it off. Whatever, my dear. But it's quite the look. It's a little bit harsh for her, to be honest. Yes, the blue goes with the blue just under her cap, which is, I'm sure, the point. But not my favourite look of hers, let's say. But it is something different, and she doesn't often do something different with her makeup. Not really the point. The point is she's angry. Right on time for the end of the month. And speaking of the end of the month, I heard a little spoiler from Pulpy today saying that Mr. Cardigan, also known as Mr. Snowflake, is going to be releasing the second part if he can get it all edited on her birthday. The idea of her receiving this as a birthday gift is just giving me a little chuckle, because she's primed for rage already, and this might be one of the reasons, or it might just be generally speaking, she's always primed for rage when it comes to reactors. But 2 days before the end of the month gets ratified, she's going to be ready to rant. It's going to be pinkies up all around. But anyway, let's get started.
I'm going to put my mic on after I eat so you guys don't hear those. Eating sounds too loud. So.
Oh, she is sped up. Sorry, that was very quick, but she's always put the mic like in her throat so we can hear the eating sound. So let's not pretend to be ladylike now. Whoops.
Today, after Oscar, oh, this thing blew up. I woke up to hearing the attack for Magnet for breakfast time, so I'm like, oh no. So I woke up, just had like some little things in the fridge, some dates. Ordered, and it was busy, so food just got here.
She came live quite a significant time after the prayer, unless I'm getting the time difference wrong. So she has been waiting a long time for this food, which is why she just shovels it in for most of the live. She doesn't even stop to like show us the food properly. She's like, you'll see it while I'm eating. But food order services do get super busy around this time because, you know, people are fasting. They don't always want to have to prepare food if they're just having a quiet day. And quite unusually, with the Moor walk she did, around the breaking of fast, you do usually see very busy areas in the food court. And she didn't seem to have that many people around her still, which was quite a surprise to me. So I thought it was quite a central mall. But that's one of the reasons I avoid going during kind of the 6 o'clock time. Because if people are going out to eat, they will order the food and have it waiting on the table once the call goes.
I just filming that small Chinese vlog days ago, but posting it on the cover of border hopping. Why do people care?
See the rolling of the eyes there? Why do people care? Not, no, that's ridiculous. Why do people care? I'll tell you exactly why people care. Because you lie. You're a lying liar who lies, then you catch yourself in your lies, and then you're angry at yourself and us for being smart enough to figure it out, or for the fact that you have to backpedal publicly. She's already admitted that she was border hopping. She's claimed it's changed, but yet somehow her schedule is still exactly what it would need to be if it hadn't changed. Funny that, hey, but no, she doesn't watch any of our content. What are you talking about? So if you're going to be a lying liar who lies and people catch you on it, that's why they're interested. If you weren't trying so hard to hide it, badly, but hide it nonetheless. If this wasn't the only thing that was out of bounds in your channel, even though we know your supposed husband has a scat fetish, like that's the level of detail you've given us. We've seen medical records, we've seen your medical records, like nothing's been off bounds. And that's post you becoming Muslim. That's not even pre when you were like telling us about your STDs and taking us to the clinic. So yes, people care. You presented it, you tried to hide it in a really easy to spot way, and now you're mad because people can see through you because she considers herself quite the puppet master and doesn't like to be told when she's behind the curtain.
Like, even if that wasn't the case.
Even if that was the case, God, it's the biggest tell of hers, isn't it? Why do you even care? Even if it was true, it's not true, but even if it was true, where's the tea? You know damn well where that tea is. It's right here.
Like, really. Somebody must have been saying something that's not true from one of the reaction channels.
Someone, definitely not FFG, even though it's totally FFG. FFG isn't Voldemort, you can say her name. You say everyone else's, you can say hers. But someone must have been saying, I've deduced very carefully from the comments I'm receiving, completely removed from their channels and my visiting of their channels.
I can probably guess who. That my husband doesn't have a job, so I get these comments. I can tell when someone's been talking crap because I get stupid comments, okay?
That's not untrue. If someone has said a thing, people will come and ask about it in comments. But just because someone's been talking about it doesn't mean that it made its way back to Chantal. She watches everybody she possibly can. And she's as much as admitted to it. Every now and again she goes, no, I don't watch. No, I don't watch. Oh, I occasionally tune into Yo Mama. And yet the other day she was listening to Jessica Messica. And yet you just deleted a post about a reactor that I had never heard of. That you apparently have been watching. Chantal knows all of the reactors. She goes and searches her name because she can't resist it. And what else has she got filling her day at this point? It's not like she's doing anything else instead. It's not like she's taking time to study the Quran. Barbecue chicken, one more note of appreciation when she stops me having to go and find the clips.
Anyways, I'm not the one coming for other people's relationships. They're the ones talking about my relationship all day. So I'm pointing out, like Yo Mama Super Chat said, that she talks about Salah. Her man doesn't have a job either.
So the key point there is using the word either. Her man doesn't have a job either. So you're saying that Salah doesn't have a job. There has been some talk about the perfumery and like, hey, he disappeared for weeks and weeks. And yes, you can be a partner in a business, but you usually need to take part. He's not a silent partner. He's always been active as far as we've been aware, and then suddenly he hasn't been. And he's been in chat, and he's been around, but definitely not on camera. And again, the point of calling us reactors is we react to a thing. We are a secondary reflection, which is why, she's the star. She does all the work of sitting here and eating. But this conversation wouldn't be happening if it hadn't been for her slip of the tongue. Like, heavy is the head that wears the crown, You're the one triggering all of this. And you can call it pathetic, and you can say that people are desperate, and people are lonely and sad, and they should get offline. But the fact is, whether you agree with it or not, Chantal is the primary source, and she's the one that's causing these conversations to happen.
Her man doesn't have a job either. He has a business. So how does he have no job? Number two, how do you...
Again, I agree. You said it, not us.
You know he doesn't have another job. Like, you don't know anything about this, anything about his life. You don't know anything about this situation.
Right. How do you know he doesn't have another job? So I think he probably does have another job. And based on what she's about to say, it's probably a bog standard customer service job. Yeah, store assistant, fast food, something like demanding enough that you go to work because, people work hard in those jobs, but not particularly high skilled. But let's let her talk because she's about to get a little bit defensive about this and then catch herself again. So when she says things like either, and when she says things like what she's about to say, like she paints the target on her own back,
Okay. But if it's coming from the reactor, I think it is.
Reactor? No, FFG's a reactor. It's fine. You can say it.
If you're going to call anyone's man a bum, what about yours? Your history of men. What about you 8 evictions?
Remember, this is Chantal Marie, who we shouldn't victim shame. Chantal Marie, it takes 48 times to leave my man. How dare we shame people for their experiences, but your historically abusive relationship that caused you issues later, that I'll throw straight back in your face.
But please, look at Pete's, he never had a job. Actually,
this whole Pete's conversation was ridiculous. She literally only worked herself up into this argument to try and step away and smokescreen the Salah stuff. So people want to have a conversation about her work. Well, how dare people say that the men I'm with don't work? Well, that's not the conversation we were actually having there, was it? But the point is smokescreen.
We worked at the same call center, making decent money for the time. At least it's a job, okay? Don't crap on a job, I guess. We had a job, we were younger. We worked at the same place for years together. Then he worked at Walmart. Then he had another customer service job for a few years, which he walked every single day, like a couple of miles to get to, in the snow or not. The only time, and he has a job now. The only time he didn't have a job was when he was doing YouTube. And
Chantal has said time and time again that YouTube is a job. It's her income, it's her employment, she makes money from it. It's a job. I've never argued that it's not a job. She makes money and enough to live on. It's a job, it's how she employs herself. I wouldn't say she works particularly hard at her job, but that's neither here nor there. But the moment Pete was on YouTube, he wasn't working. It was the only time he wasn't working. Excuse you, madam.
He was earning some money. So if someone's going to sit there on their high horse and lie and say that this person was a bum, didn't have a job, and then make fun of me for being with Swordfish, who was a leech, the only person, the person I was with before.
You're making fun of her being with her person who caused her financial issues. But no, your guy, he was a leech.
No, after Pete. Still has a job. Had a job the whole time. So where's that coming from? Lies.
It's coming from a very established behaviour Chantal has of enjoying power through control. Chantal, ultimately, as much as she's loud, is quite insecure. She's got things she'll shout about online, but whenever she's been in real life, we've seen how she's reacted to people who have been critical of her. Now, Chantal wasn't always in a position where the money she made on YouTube was as extravagant as it was when she was with Nada. So it doesn't surprise me, especially as she hadn't developed in the way she has now, or become arrested in her development, I'm not quite sure how to say it. The person she was in the BB era, although there are threads that connect her to current day Foodie, there are moments that are the genesis of later behaviours, or signposts to where they were heading. She is a more extreme version of herself now. So when she was with BB and all of this was just starting to catch on for her, it doesn't surprise me that her behaviour would have been different. And also, BB seems to have been quite a stabilising influence with her because he just worked hard and did his job. He didn't want much from life. He just wanted to sit down, watch his shows and not have her bitch at him in the background. Foodie doesn't do well particularly alone, and when Pete's moved in, they began enabling each other's worst behaviours. She was also feeling pretty cocky because when she controls the purse strings, she feels less pressure to pretend to be anything other than what she is. With Pete, the second time around, she could afford to have him be a kept man. Now, he did pay 1 or 2 bills here or there, but essentially, she was covering the costs in the villa. Because what she got out of that arrangement was Peter's credit score, which meant that she could get the apartment to begin with. And when she started dating, even as the Nada era began and the Nada era continued and eventually ended, a very strong thread in this was as much as she likes to say, well, I'm pretty, I have good things, I'm able to make people laugh and all the other stuff that she likes to say, money has always been her go-to. Look what I can get for you. Look how useful I am to you. Look at the things I can offer. Or if necessary, if you're getting out of line, take away. It's been a power for her, and it gives her a sense of security that her own personality can't guarantee. So she's purposely picked people who might be more in need of those things. Like if you're offering something, you want someone willing to buy. It just happens that in this case, what Foodie was offering wasn't necessarily her sparkling personality. So while she was living the high life, literally and figuratively, on YouTube with her top earning months, think of her behavior then. Think about how she was in the villa with Pete, with Nada. And now that her money isn't where it was before, and she said as much, like this isn't the heyday she had on YouTube. It is going down, whether she can live, whether she can afford to live, whatever argument she wants to give. But importantly, we're also not throwing that in her face. She's creating this issue so she can argue something else other than what's actually come up, which is, hey there, does Salah have a job?
And if you're going to sit on your hind horse and say that my men that I've been with haven't had jobs and are bums, oh, look at the bum you were with who caused you, apparently, according to you, to go to court 8 times for not paying rent. Yeah, suck it.
We're not saying your men have never had jobs. We're saying Salah either doesn't have the job you're presenting or doesn't have a job at all.
Because he's available a lot during the time when you go live.
Yeah, that's a point.
By that logic, then the people who stream snipe me and react to my content almost immediately after also have no jobs, like they claim, right? Because they always have the time.
I've got no idea which reactors have jobs and which reactors don't. I have a job. My schedule matches up with hers a little bit more because I'm kind of near the region and she tends to go on at night, but I do sometimes miss her because I'm sleeping. But time zones are a thing. And again, what reactors do with their time, reactors aren't the ones sitting here claiming they have a perfumery. Foodie is the one claiming Salah is going out to work. Now, it might be that Salah has that customer service job and that he works an irregular schedule or he works shorter shifts, and so his times in and out do vary. That would be a completely reasonable explanation, but it's not the one she's giving, and she's trying so hard to fight against it, and this is always her mistake. She never just stops and doesn't mention the things that she can't explain. She always wants to fight it because she thinks if she's loud enough, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. If I just say it with confidence, then I can make it true, and it's just not the case.
Look at just Beaten today. She has all the time in the world, every single time I go live, to stream snipe me so she can afford to take her kids somewhere. I can honestly say, with my whole chest, this whole circumference, I have not seen a more handsome person in Kuwait than Salah.
I can honestly say your diabetes is probably affecting your eyesight.
So why, when I have eye candy like that, would I bother looking at anyone else?
When did you have the opportunity to look at very many other people? How many times have you left your apartment since moving to Kuwait?
If aliens exist in this world, come adopt me. Come take me away from this planet.
The aliens up in space right now are like, nope, not a chance, thank you. We have studied you enough to know we want you right where you are.
I don't want to live on the same planet with morons like this. Thank you, bye. I think it's funny how they think you're this diabolical mastermind and constantly trying to bamboozle us. Yeah, like I'm constantly trying. That's what's annoying. Is like none of it makes sense. Why? What's the motivation to do this?
The motivation is literally you delight in it. That it's the only real power you have, and that's why you get so angry when people can see through it, because it's all you've got. This whole like house of mirrors you're trying to build here, and then you just can't figure it out. You just can't balance all of those plates. And the fact that you just can't maintain this facade infuriates you. And then it becomes a case of, well, that's so ridiculous. Why would I? Of course it would be ridiculous. Yeah, it is ridiculous. And yet you do it.
You know, like, so yeah, before you come for my husband with his job and job shame him, you're going to tell me that nobody in those audiences works at a Wendy's or something?
Okay, so he works in fast food, you're saying? Or he works at a counter somewhere. Nothing wrong in it, no shame. But that's kind of the level of job she's implying here when we talk about following the breadcrumbs that she lays down.
So don't job shame people.
They're not job shaming him. They are asking if he has one or if he's unemployed, because that also gives a perspective on his motivations, which have been of discussion, especially given recent events with Kybella. But in order to job shame, we would have to know what his job was, and you seem to be talking a lot right now.
I'm not saying Salah works at the Wendy's, I'm just saying people use that as like a lower end job.
She caught herself. It was too late. She didn't mean to say he works in a Wendy's or another fast food place or whatever, but she did heavily imply it, and now she's got to backtrack.
And if you're insulting him, you're insulting everybody in the audience who has like a lower paying job or
She stops looking at us while she tries to figure out how to kind of turn left at the traffic lights to bring us back around here.
job that you don't think is sufficient, even though you don't know how much Salah makes, you know what I mean? His job is fine, it's perfect. And if it wasn't, he could do something else because he had
jobs, she's about to say. His job is fine. If his job does what it needs to do, then yeah, his job is fine. Having employment is fine, whatever form it might take. And we know that he's been in service jobs before, because wasn't he working with Allah in, I think it was like a department store, electronics. You know, the people who walk around and if you stop to look at something, they approach you. Usually it's like, when you go into like a big Carrefour or something, there's an electronic section, an appliance section, any of the big supermarkets have them. It seems like he was just a customer service rep that used to walk around and help with that. So he's got that experience in his resume. It would make sense that he'd go back to something similar. But Foodie doesn't want to admit that because it doesn't sound as good as business owner. And she talks about us job shaming or job judging. She's the one who doesn't want to talk about that. She's the one who doesn't want to admit that that might be what he's doing. And then, because projection is turning that on us.
jobs, but he supported himself with his business before he met me. You know? So
Well,
it's business.
lots of things happened before he met you, didn't they? And look where we are now.
It's business, no business. Like, you know what? I was watching very popular, like millions of subscribers, Muslim couple on TikTok. They're like, have iftar with us. They got in the car and went to take it drive-through. Nobody's cooking a huge iftar meal every day. Like, no way. Sorry.
I'm not saying that people are. I'm sure that people have a mixture of, okay, this is a big family time, especially near like the beginning or closer to Eid, big family time, or maybe once a week or something like that. But not everybody will all the time. It's quite a long period. But again, this isn't about what other people do. This is about what she does. She's the main character.
But why would I do that though? Like, I didn't say that. I have my own debts. I have my own bills. I need to make money too.
I'm not sure what Blue Pot asked. I kind of wish I had the comment.
But to say that somebody who doesn't earn any money is just not right. And they can't keep the same consistency with their stories and lives.
I think the comment was something about how people should earn money. I'm not sure.
First is I'm so broke I can't afford to go anywhere. I can't afford to do anything. But yeah, my husband's with me for money, which I don't have, apparently. You know, so it's like super stupid and inconsistent.
Her finances are interesting. And more in the sense of like, yes, I'm interested in finance in general. I have a budgeting channel for a reason. But the idea that they don't have very much put aside is one that she has confirmed. Not directly saying, hey, we have no savings, but remember when she wanted a medical test recently? And we worked out based on the cost that it was probably about $500. And she was like, we don't have it. I'm going to go back to Canada because we don't have it. It was $500. Yes, it was just a drop in the ocean of how many tests she might need to have and the cost of ongoing care. But it was a big enough impact that she was really concerned about whether they could sustain it. And like $500 is a lot of money, but it's not so much that you like abandon your life if she's as comfortable as she's claiming. But it is a lot if you don't have it. Any amount of money is a lot if you don't have it. So her talk of how expensive the airline seats are and not wanting to buy two. Yes, because she doesn't have money to throw down the drain anymore. Her not being able to afford even a beginning test, a beginning scan when she's been limping around for this long. She doesn't mean to give us the evidence, but it crops up nonetheless. These are all breadcrumbs that she leaves, I'll say it again. So when she's saying, oh, they're making stuff up, they're lies. They're not lies, they're speculation based on what we actually have. Speculation might be wrong, but it has reason and basis for being there.
Yeah, if he didn't love me, like, why would he be with me? Like, look at all the problems I have. Yeah, he's young, like, I can't have kids, I have all these diseases. Well, not like, you know what I mean, I have a lot of illnesses, a lot of problems. I'm not making a fraction of what I used to. We're not going to Canada.
You're not going to Canada now. Not now, but when you first got there and Salah was in your chat, he was like, oh, inshallah, Canada. So maybe he just feels he's sunk enough into this that he'll hold out and eventually you will go back because probably your health will cause you to have to. Maybe he just doesn't care because you are hopping a tourist visa, so it's not like you're actually married, and he can afford to just leave you there to rot so long as you're paying the bills. And maybe it's not as easy for you to pay the bills as it once was, and so he's gone and got another job to bring in a little bit of extra money. That would be perfectly reasonable. It's not affecting him that much. He's in a better apartment than he was. He's got you sharing the costs at the very least. It's a better deal for him than where he was previously. And he's shown that the moment Foodie is out of sight, out of mind, he's got no problem hunting down somebody else. So yeah, I'm sure he doesn't care that she's there. Unless, of course, she's embarrassing him on the internet and then things get a bit dodgy.
Do these morons hide their bodies? Yes. Do they look worse than me?
Hi.
And Amberlynn? Yes. Oh, shit, I can't wait to try some of your public reviews.
I'm just going to freeze frame that and let it sink in exactly what she's doing and remind you it's Ramadan. That's when she's talking about how she doesn't make fun of anybody ever, particularly for things they can't help. Let's just keep that freeze frame, shall we?
Timothy Chalamet. He's another one right now. Before it was that one girl from Euphoria. What's her name?
Zendaya.
Like, they just go on these, like, you know. I hate when they don't use people from the race of the person they're portraying in the movie. I hate that. Like, in Dune, Timothy Chalamet as that, who was the Middle Eastern person? I don't know, forgive me, but I saw...
She doesn't know anything at all. He's not supposed to be Middle Eastern in the film. And she's offended because she's hearing second, third hand from probably not great sources that she should be offended by this. Because she's so supportive of all people, everybody. But I am utterly shocked that she might not have a full grasp on the facts before she speaks on it.
A lot of, like, Arab people complaining about that. Use an Arab person. What, there's not one single Arab actor you can use? You have...
If it were appropriate to the character, absolutely. Yes. As you don't know anything about the character, maybe this isn't the hill to die on, is all I'm saying.
Have to put pointy chin Chalamet? Anyway, yeah, Zendaya, yeah. And a lot of these actors are overrated. I can do a better job. Let me see here.
Yeah, okay. Prettier than 90% of Hollywood.
No, I don't want to watch the movie, thank you. Because I don't like Zendaya and I don't like Timothy Chalamet, so they would annoy me the whole movie.
Oh, okay. So based on no information whatsoever and with absolutely no intention of going and finding out for yourself. Okay, just checking.
I mean, I don't like, not like them as people. I just mean, like, they get on my nerves, okay? A lot of things get on my nerves.
Yeah, we've noticed.
Like, that's a new low. Going frame by frame for what? To reveal that I'm fat? Like, I'm on camera. People have eyes. They don't need your Inspector Gadget analysis.
Well, they do have eyes, and that's where the commenters come from, I'm presuming. I'm not going to play this clip again, but yeah, you do put yourself on camera. And you're obviously not that confident about it because you put yourself behind about 50 filters before you do it. Now, would I sit here and go frame to frame to show you the size more clearly? Probably not. I don't find it worth it. But if you're that confident in your own self, try going on without a filter.
Like, yeah, I rage a lot sometimes. Well, not a lot, but, like, not just rage, but, like...
Yes, a lot? What do you mean not a lot? Yes, a lot. Especially if it's the end of the month.
Point out, like, hypocrisies and, like, stuff like that. But really, at the end of the day, I don't really care.
Doesn't care so much that we can set a clock by it.
You know, for example, with somebody who looks or acts like FFG, for example, like, thinking of the most obvious. Like, or somebody, like, just beaten today.
Okay, so that's why you mention them every stream you get angry, which is a lot of your streams. Is that a sign of you not caring?
Like, what they really think about me, how I look. I know how I look. I like how I look. I know I'm fat, whatever, you know.
Okay, I'm glad that you like how you look. You have the right to do that, and I hope that everybody likes the way they look because they've got to live in that body. You've mentioned you don't like how you feel, which would be a bigger concern because your health and continuing in your life and in continuing living it any way you want to depends on you being alive to do it. But again, maybe try it without the filters and it would be more convincing.
Who cares? Anyways, people's looks, I guess, at the end are just irrelevant, whatever.
All right, if they're irrelevant, maybe stop insulting people about them. Yeah? When you reacted to me, you didn't have anything to say about my points other than, no, you're wrong. But you spent an hour on my makeup and my wig because you couldn't think of anything else. On my accent, of course, because that's something I choose.
Yes, April, if I croak, then he'll take care of my cat. Our cat, it's not mine, it's ours.
She croaks, Julia's gonna eat her.
Yeah, you're supposed to not have conflict or anything during Ramadan.
Yeah.
But then again, most people are not followed by hundreds of brain-dead morons.
Yeah, explain to God how you've got a harder case than anyone else on this earth. Go on.
Most people live very private lives. Sometimes I envy that. I have to tell you.
Well,
Come.
you're making choices, dude. You could do it. Well, you couldn't, but you could.
Come. I gotcha.
Oh.
No.
Come. Didn't want to be anywhere near her. That's the fastest she's had to move in a while to try and get this cat, which is already looking, based on this freeze frame, like she's both trying to think of a way to kill her and to get away as fast as possible. Look at this cat. She's like, no, get off. I don't want to. Oh God, it's her. Ooh.
She fell in the bag. Come here, pretty girl.
No, don't come here. She obviously didn't want to be there. It didn't look comfortable, the hold you had on her. I don't know what she hit, but she just hit it.
I'm sorry.
Bite her.
Yes. She's too hyper.
She's not hyper. You just picked her up, and when she tried to get away, you dropped her. That's not hyper.
To be touched, Marie, but not. Sometimes she doesn't love to be picked up, I notice.
So I picked her up.
A lot of cats don't, but she loves to be pet. Like if we're laying
She
still,
seemed to be.
She loves to come up to us and we pet her all night.
Yeah. No. When it's not on camera, she's got a completely different personality. That sounds familiar.
I don't know if she was an outdoor cat. We got her from a friend of Salah's, and like somebody Salah knew. And
right. Did that somebody pick her off of a street corner? Because then you'd have an answer.
She could have been somebody that they picked up outside and kept her and like gave her away. I'm not sure. She might have been. Most cats from the streets here.
So the story's changing. No. We got her from a friend. No, she wasn't a street cat. She had all the vaccines and everything. Oh, no, they might have picked her up and given her away. Oh, probably they did.
Yeah, Vanessa, right? Julia has good breath.
Oh.
You can't be single in right here. That's like the #1 proof that we're married without ever showing anybody anything.
Well, that's quite the caveat, isn't it? Not looking at the camera. That's the #1 proof without showing anyone anything. Or you could show your marriage certificate and put it all to rest. Or you could say, if you're going to make the justification that there are loopholes in the legal system, then there's a potential case for there being loopholes in the rental system. And it's probably much easier to bypass than the court.
You have to be married. Like, we had to show a certificate to live here. Actually, having your own car in your own place and money to afford bills and food is rich in a lot of ways.
Okay, so she's rich, you guys. How dare you? And that isn't to say that it's not hard out there. And there are people who struggle to meet their bills and they work hard to do it. But you pulling it out as a backtrack for flashing your cash around and then being like, oh, no, I definitely have cash. Oh, but I can't afford to do a medical test that I desperately need. When you say stick to one story, if you did, we would.
You think about it nowadays, it's so hard to live these days for a lot of people. Anyways, guys and girls,
and think how much harder it would be if she was paying her taxes.
And whatever else you identify as, I don't know. I feel like I need to be more inclusive. I hate saying guys and girls, especially when there's more genders in that.
Yeah, she wouldn't want to offend.
Okay, good night, guys. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, so I'm going to leave you there. I have no doubt if Mr. Snowflake drops his part 2 that she will be raging and I will be ready for it because I've got a day and a half of school left. We've got a full day tomorrow, and then the day before the holiday is always like a half day, but we're already on reduced hours. So I'm coming home at 12, basically, and I'm very excited about it. So if anything drops in the meantime, I am off for 2 weeks, so I'll be here to see it. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.